I'm Addie Banks, and welcome back to part two of this powerful interview with Sean Ingram, founder of the Sean Ingram Academy Juvenile Diversion Program. What a testimony life from poverty to prison to author, actor, educator, spoken word artist, and motivational speaker. He was raised in severe poverty while battling the challenges of manic depression. Sean found his life on a fast track to self destruction, which ultimately landed him crashing into the walls of a federal prison for 5 years. You don't want to miss part two of our conversation. Let's talk about your youth partners. They have lived in an integrated society all their life that is meant to be part of the racism solution. From their stories, how has the perception of racism shaped their journeys?
Well, so I'm gonna make this personal, right? This is one of the things that I fight with, coming from where I come from, and now being an intellectual, being a speaker who's speaking in front of people with college degrees and, white people.
Truth.
Right? and this is me at 45. This ain't me at 10 and 11 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding what my worth is, understanding, no, I'm gonna look you in the eyes. No, understanding, no, I'm not gonna bow my head down. Understanding, I'm not gonna ask you for permission. Understanding that, no, I know what my worth is now, so now you're not gonna hustle me. You're not gonna, and when you got a psychology of oppression, you don't even try to do certain things because you don't believe that you belong and you don't fit in. God had blessed me to be a member of the city club. And going up there, I never felt comfortable. I mean, going on 10 years. And I felt more comfortable on the street talking to homeless people than I did at the city club because I didn't feel like I belonged, right? I didn't feel like I was the upper echelon of, because I'm, like I told you, that I'm just Sean, like I'm a country boy. I'm a guy who feel, and I'm a guy who make mistakes. I might be on the news fighting them. That's me. I'm gonna be in church Sunday morning fighting Sunday evening. Like, that's who I am. So when you feel like you're so outcast and you don't belong, and that's what, to me, what that racism teaches us. Stay in your place. To me, that's the moral of it. Stay in your place. Okay, what is our place? Beneath. Whatever it is beneath. You could be good at your job, but you can't be so good that you're gonna break through that glass ceiling. Right? You can be good at your job, but you ain't gonna be so good that you make the same thing that Tommy made, even though you're doing Tommy's job and 5 other people's job. And when you're talking about race or women, right? When you bring in women into the equation to it. And that's where those equalities or the inequalities come from. They say, that's why, to me, we would never be equal if we're not equal in the mindset. I mean, we're still talking about a constitution that still declares us 3/5 as a human being. That the 13th Amendment didn't abolish slavery, it made slavery an exception. And that's what I said is by design. See, like for me, I'm still a slave because I'm still under the pressure of the system. I go make a mistake, my journey is back to prison. When I go back to prison, when I did my 5 years in federal prison, I worked for 8 cents an hour. 8 cents an hour for 5 years. So it's an exception. I could do what I want to with you. You can't leave, like you said. And when you're talking about the sentences, that's why, like when you're talking about equalities, when you take crack, cocaine laws and all this stuff, cocaine is a lot more pure, right? Crack, cut up, it got baking soda, it got all these other things in it. But a crack dealer get 20 years, and a guy snorting cocaine or a cocaine drug, he'll get 2 years, right? Because cocaine was the upper echelon drug, right? You had doctors, you had lawyers, you had judges doing cocaine, snorting cocaine all day, every day. You know, even now with the inequalities in the school system, the upper echelon white kids, they get lesser times. You know, they don't come through diversion programs and stuff. They get washed away. It's all to the discretion of the teacher, the principal, the SO officer. But this little black kid, now we got to get him up out of here. Right? So so when you look at that inequality and that the oppression, it gives us a mindset. I know it gave me a mindset. This is all that it is for me, the streets. Ain't nobody gonna let me work in there. Ain't nobody gonna let, cause see, and this is the problem, like you said, when you know that you know that you're more, like I knew I was a leader. I knew I always had this mindset. I was more. I know what I'm more than. You know what I mean? Oh, you crazy. You ain't, no. I know yeah, I am better than some things. Not above it, but I'm better than it. I'll go through it. Yeah, I dig some ditches. But that don't mean I want to dig ditches the rest of my life. If that ain't what I want to do, why can't I own the truck? Why can't I own the company? So I always looked at myself as an owner. Like you said, I don't want the pie. I want the recipe to the pie. Keep the pie. Like you said, I want to know how to make the pies. I want the pie factory, right? So I think the problem with young Black intellectual hustlers is that's always been our mindset. So, okay, you won't let me be at your table, I go build my own table. We just unfortunately do it in negative ways. Let
me ask, do the young people blame racism for their negative decision making?
I don't know if they directly blame racism, but it's the tail leads back to racism. The path leads back to racism. Like we said, you were saying earlier, the institutional racism and the design and things that have been set in place in the systematic slavery and all these things, right? It's not by happen chance that we grew up poor. We grew up in a poor system that kept us in a poor system, right? It's not by happen chance that some schools get great education, great teachers, even have books, and some schools don't. I mean, I'm talking about 2022. I ain't even talking about when we was in school. I'm talking about right now. When you look at it, the funds of a school, the allotment of the funds of the school, every program don't get the same allotment of funds. Well, why can these kids go on to Australia on a field trip, but these kids can't even go down to St. Aug to a field trip? You know what I mean? So when you look at it from that aspect, it's just to me, it leads back to that institutionalized and that institutional racism and system of keep the oppressed oppressed, keep the 1% the 1%.
We cannot leave this subject without touching on the system of welfare and government dependence. One of the things that we're blamed for is being dependent on the government for our basic needs. But what is not broadcast is that there is a bigger welfare institution that a lot of people are making money by keeping a lot of people on welfare. Who would lose their jobs if the welfare system was eradicated? So here again, poor people are being blamed for being committed to and dependent on a system. And at the same time, who is getting the wealth from that welfare system?
I mean, and that's the thing about it. It's all a system. Everything is a system. Redlining was a system. Everything is a system in place to keep the system, to keep the cycle, the circle. You know what I mean? And to keep what's inside the circle, and what's outside the circle, outside the circle. You know what I mean? But it's depending on who you're saying, who's complaining about it. Like if woke people are complaining to sleep people, then that's a good thing. Like for me, you know, being woke now, I'm trying to tell one of my sleep friends to say, hey man, don't depend on them. Don't depend on them because they keeping you comfortable. And when they keep you comfortable, they keep you all right. And when you all right, then you don't try, you don't fight for more. I've heard it. I've heard people say, man, you crazy boy, I'm straight. Section 8, all right for me. But they don't know, like you said, when you're talking about grants and all these federal fundings and all this stuff, there's people making millions off you. Yeah, I'm gonna give you your apartment for $100. It's just, it ain't no difference from being a social, having a foster kid. I get paid to house you. I get paid to house you. So yeah, you can pay me $100 because they giving me $2,000, and it's coming every month on the 1st. So that's what the sleep. They just know I'm comfortable. I'm all right. Like so ironic story, right? And this is just like you said. We just speaking truth. We speaking facts. When we talk about Section 8, and I just learned this probably about a year or two ago myself, because the situation happened and a lady reached out to me and her son, and was going through some things at school, and something about his dad got out of jail. They live in Section 8, so he came home. Oh, that's what it was. He was homeless. So he was dealing with DSS and all this stuff, right? All this stuff. So I'm like, what happened? It was like, oh, his dad came home. And so I'm thinking like, oh, dad got him back in gang. Like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of confused. Oh, no, because Section 8, you can't live, like the husband or the man can't live there.
Look at that.
But he ain't have no, so like now we're talking about, like you said, so you're not single parents, and you're not divorces, and you're not, especially Black men, for not being fathers and not wanting to be there. But then you have a rule in place to say you can't be there. Like, you cannot be in the house with your family to help provide or do this. And they kicked them out.
There you go.
And I was like, wow, wow, right?
And yet,
that's the system.
And yet, broken homes, fatherless homes, lack of education or respect for rules and laws, lack of values. They don't know their history. We've heard all these things about why young people, Black people, are going wrong. And none of the explanation for how trying to maintain a home, trying to instill certain values, education, and you earn respect. Young people can see when they're not being respected. But these are the explanations for what's wrong with the youth. Can you, based on your experiences with the people you work with, what are 2 things that you would tell the world about young Black people that they may be getting wrong?
That we want a handout, and that we don't want, that we don't desire more, that we don't want better. You know what I mean? That we don't care, right? And these are all misconceptions that a lot of people have. You know, one of the things that I in my life that I hope I change and be a change agent of is the perception of Black men and Black kids, right? And so people stop looking at us a problem as looking at us a potential. We don't know everything. Like, even being a husband, you know what I mean? I'm terrible, right? They say I had a lot of problems. I'm trying to figure it out. We've been through a lot of ups and downs, and I'm growing. I'm still learning, to love, just to love, right? Love languages and learn how to love somebody else and all these things. But it ain't that I don't want to. But when you're walking in the dark and you don't have nobody to hold your hand or tell you, hey man, there's a door to the right, there's a door to the, you're gonna bump your head into the wall a million times until you just happen chance run upon the light switch of the door, right? But I always tell people, even in the streets, it ain't that we don't want to be in the streets. We just don't know no other way. But we just know we willing to die for something better than staying in the condition that we in. So instead of talking about us, come and talk to us. Most people talk about us, right? And so I think that's the misconception with young, oh, they crazy. We talk about fads and clothing and hairstyles and everything is a cycle. You know what I mean? They ain't did nothing different than we did. You know what I mean? They just got more access to show it and see other things than anything else. They just trying to figure out their process and learn who they are and grow and, everything at the same time. Now the study came out to say, hey, they frontal lobe don't even develop until 24. So we can't even judge them for a lot of the misconceptions and the decisions, that they made, right? But I think it's a bad rap too. Like I speak in churches a lot. I speak to everybody. But don't forget, you was a kid too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told you this last time, like, if you a preacher, you ain't never been through nothing. If you ain't never had to prove your faith, like prove your faith to God, I can't listen to you. How you gonna be an expert at something that you ain't experienced? How you gonna tell a kid what better to do if you ain't never been homeless, if you ain't never been hungry, if you ain't never grew up in a foster care child, if you ain't never, you know what I mean, like you said, had these emotional angers or been in a domestic violence, relationship, or, seeing your mama getting beat by your dad. Like these experiences dictate who the child becomes as an adult. But we as an adult, we get detached and get disconnected, like I did a speech one time, and I said, we talk the talk, but are we speaking the right language? A lot of times we want kids to come and speak as a professional to us, as a professional. But they don't have the skills, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have that growth yet. So as a professional, we got to be able to talk to them as a kid. Now, let me say, and that's the difference between me and a lot of other people. People say, man, why do kids always love you? Because I talk to them on their level. I sit down with them on the sidewalk. Like you said, I don't sit in no office with no white coat on and talk to kids. No, I'm rolling up in your hood. I'm sitting on your porch like, yo, cuz, what's good with you, bro? Man, I feel you. But at the same time, bro, they're gonna kick you out of school. Then you going to jail. They ain't helping nobody. So let's meet in the middle somewhere, right? And so I talk to them on their level. I dress on their level. This is how I dress. Why? Because suit and ties, we already defended. We already got a block up against somebody that's coming at looking like they're police anyway. And then I'm looking at you like you don't relate to me. You don't understand. You don't feel me, right? So I ain't and one thing about Black kids especially, if we don't feel like we could trust you or believe in you, we ain't listening to you. Like nothing else you could say, everything is dead. Yeah.
At the Sean Ingram Academy, how are you teaching young people to deal with racism?
Knowing they self. Like, one of the things that this is me talking to me every day. That's your problem. That ain't my problem. That's your problem. You don't like me? That's your problem, fam. And especially because of my color. Like, and honestly, this is with anybody now for me, right? You can say what you want to say about me because you don't control nothing. You ain't got no, and that's the thing, like what I try to tell my youth is most of the people that's in your life right now is truly irrelevant to your future. They're irrelevant. They for the hour, they for the month, they for 6 months, they for 12 years of your education. How many people are really forever? So if they're not a forever person, they're irrelevant. You just gotta do what you gotta do and keep moving on. Because at the end of the day, you know where you want to be, you know what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, okay, you don't want me to come in your store. You don't want me to eat your white only pies or drinking your water fountain. That's cool. I go build my own water fountain. I go build my own store. You know what I mean? Like, that's for me what has done it for me. And that's why, like I said, for me, okay, it's cool for me to work in a tobacco field. Okay, well, it's cool. It's cool for me to be an author at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. I don't care for your handout. You can't. And see, I'm just being honest with you and open with you. I learned from me in a businessman, as an entrepreneur, having a nonprofit, and all these things. It's that fear that they try to put in you to keep you in your place. Well, I'll take your funding. Well, I won't give you a recommendation. I won't do this. I don't care. Keep it all. Because it's my conversation with each person. You think you're the only person that got a mouthpiece? Hey, that's all right. I'll get it penny by penny. If I need $1,000, I'll get it penny by penny. Like, I'm learning all these different things now because, because of that racism, that I've encountered and endured in business. They say, hey, we're not going to look out for you. We're going to look out for somebody. And then they try to, honestly, they strong arm us. They try to take our stuff. Like, I didn't understand what intellectual property was until I got in some situations where I had to get some lawyers behind me to say, Sean, they're taking your thoughts. They're taking your creative genius and they're trying to figure out how you're doing these programs. So that's why they getting you to write these lesson plans and these creative plans, and they bringing you to this table to have these conversations. Yeah, you conversating, but somebody's behind the curtain typing everything down. Somebody playing Wizard of Oz with you, right? Because they're trying to figure out how this little black boy with nothing, that came from nothing, that ain't nobody gave him nothing, continue to do all these major things, right? Because I figured out a system, I figured out a solution, right? And I'll say it because ain't nobody stop it now, right? It goes back to something my grandmama, who with a 6th grade education, always taught me. A smile will get you a lot further. Knowing how to talk to people will get you a lot further. So for me, it wasn't about having the greatest skills. For me, it was about relationships. Just being a good person. Talking to people. Closed mouth don't get fed, Sean. Streets teachers don't talk to nobody. Don't ask for no help. That ain't the reality of life is, though. And what I've learned is the law of percentage. Everything is numbers. I might ask you for $1, you might say no, but the person behind me, you might say, hey man, I ain't got $1, but here go 5. So if I ask 1,000 more people to buy a shirt, somewhere along the line, I'm gonna get what I need. Right? And so that's why I say success ain't about what you could do, it's about what you can endure. If you can endure that process of all those no's, get to the 100 that's gonna say yes, then you win.
Don't you know?
Right? So I just know I'm strong enough to endure the process. Like, what else I got to do? Like, because one of the promises that God did make to me, you can't take my life. Like, he ain't gonna let you do that. So the bulls and the sacrifices and the heartache and the losing this and the losing that, okay, that's part of the process. Because me, I knew I can get it right back. I could lose everything today, put my head down, create something else, and I'll be back on in another 6-7 months. I'm talking about from scratch, from zero, because that's what we do as hustlers.
That's what we do as a people, making a way out of no way.
Making a way out. Let me tell you something. They selling chitlins in the restaurants now.
Really?
Yeah, they sell. You go to a restaurant, buy chitlins. You know what I mean?
A lot of mercy.
With a price.
Well, you know what? Now I'm a country girl too. We have to know who making them chitlins.
But this is my point. Originally, chitlin was thrown to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is my point. Right? Chicken wings. Me and my wife talk about it all the time. Chicken wings was a throwaway. We make a cuisine. We say, okay, we put a little barbecue sauce on this damn hot sauce. We be all right. And that's why I say they come back and they take what they gave us as scraps. Now it's, oh man, we can make money off that. Because the dollar don't stay in our community but 4 hours. We're the most underpaid, but to spend the most in the world.
Don't you know? Let me ask you this, Sean. I saw on your website aggression replacement training. Tell me about that and your successes.
Oh man, it's been a blessing. I mean, you take a kid like me, like I said, I've always had anger issues. I've always had mindset issues, you know, and aggression replacement training just teach those values, moral reasoning, you know, skill training, and then anger aggression, how to channel your anger. So for me, my outlet is writing, understanding what my, my triggers are in a sense. So it just teach you more about yourself, so you know how not to act and how not to respond, or how to respond, right? So like for me, one of the things that I do is I think everything out now. I try to think through my whole process. Like I tell people, I know who I am. I know what I am, right? If I get in a fight with somebody at a grocery store, they might not have the charges in the background that I have. So I know I'm going to jail, and they'll figure it out later, me sitting in jail. Somebody else might go home. And because of my criminal history and because of my criminal record, I'm probably going to go to prison and all this stuff. And, so even a simple argument of sitting, is this really worth it? And is this person worth it? Because I got a lot more to lose than they do. You know what, bro? You got it. You got it. And I'll tear your tail up. You right. I apologize. Like it does it. It makes you a lot smarter, because it makes you understand that how to pick and choose your battles and what's not really worth it. Like if you're not attacking my family now, like it ain't worth it. If you're not attacking a woman out in the community, like, all right, whatever. Like you said, the words you say and the things that you try to do to put roadblocks in front of me, and all the slander and the persecution that I've endured as a businessman, as a leader. Like I'm learning now, but like, bro, you all right, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna stop me from succeeding. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like that's all I know about me. I'm gonna win. You know what I mean? So you made the game a little bit longer. We're in overtime. You know what I mean? Like I'm tired. I'm on the ropes, but I'm gonna win. Like I just know I'm gonna win, because one thing I believe in the devil, but I believe in God a lot more. You know what I mean? He's not gonna give me and show me all these visions not for me to win. The devil, that's what you're here for. You're here for to kill, steal, and destroy, to block my blessings. So, okay, I got you. You know what I mean?
24/7.
24/7. So now I know who I'm fighting. I know what I'm fighting against. You know what I mean? So it's just that different dynamic. But that's what it's all, that anger aggression replacement is to understand how to channel that anger in a more positive and constructive outcome than negative.
And your successes, your young people's successes.
Oh man, amazing successes. Kids with 0.4 GPAs when I meet them, and getting kicked out of school every week. Now they're in college for this and that. I got athletes that's playing in school. I mean, and that's honestly the hardest thing about what I do, because I can't show and talk about a lot about what I do, because I work with youth, and because of with social services and all the restrictions that we have, and showing those videos, and I can't promote a lot of things. But at the same time, those are some of the things that I don't think people will ever understand. You know what I mean? Like how much of a blessing that it is to see, like you said, when it works, when everybody in the school gave up on a kid and was ready to kick this kid out. And this thing, you get with them. And people ask me that all the time, man, what's your secret? I love them. And I see me in them. You know what I mean? That's my only thing. Like I said, God gave me that vision of empathy, right? To say, okay, Sean, don't give up on them, because you ain't want nobody to give up on you. And what if they did give up on you? Where would you be? And yeah, you had 100 people to give up on you, but don't forget about the one person who didn't give up on you, and the love that they still gave you, and the support that they gave you.
Okay, as we conclude, we're getting close to concluding. Tell me, do you really believe that humankind can overcome racial and ethnic antagonism, and why?
What I think is happening, and I think it will, and I think it's happening, one thing about youth is they're so mad at the elders for the disconnection that they're not listening to the nonsense of racial separation. For them, it's about like mind, like kinds. We're skateboarders, we're musicians, we're this, you know what I mean? So they have a different separation of the world. And all they want to do is be a part of something, right? So it ain't too much racial when you're talking about the youth. Like my daughter, right? My daughter has a Indian friend, Spanish friend, and a white friend. And all of them hang out and they joke and they laugh and they talk about boys and they my 11-year-old, right? So, and because like we said, racism isn't instilled. I mean, you're not born racist, you're taught it. So, but I think that the kids are rejecting and rebellion from the teaching. You know what I mean? Which is ironic because it's like my friend that I was telling you about. So if this was in today's time, he would rebel and say, nah, Sean, my man, I don't care what you say. And that's what we're seeing now, right? Youth are rebelling from the teachings of the elders, saying, no, we ain't cool with that. That's my man. He like to draw, I like to draw. He all right with me. Right? And I think that's what's saving it, a rebellious mindset.
Well, that's very positive. That's very positive. And you know what? We got to keep hope alive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna happen. Like I said, because when you look at interracial dating, and I think the youth mindset is they don't care. Like they ain't about it. They can care less. And honestly, it's about money for them. It's about like, bro, like if this dude can make me some money and we can make some money together, I don't care what color he is, right? We trying to get the bag. You know what I mean? So I think the youth just have a different mindset where race to them is in the back of the picture. You know what I mean? It's just not their thing. And like I said, and the ones that's being taught that and instilled in that, I think they just in a rebellious, youth. Because like, look at the youth. They grow their hair out. They either shave their head. They do everything they could do now to be different. See, we did everything we did to fit in. Right? Like you said, to stay in the system, to stay in the church system, to stay in the social system, to stay in the community system. You better not do that. Church gonna look at you crazy. You better not have people out there talking about me because you my daughter, you my son.
Representing the family and the race.
So we stayed in pocket. These kids intentionally do stuff that's different to be different. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a different mindset. But I think in time, it's gonna be totally different. You know what I mean? And that's what I do pray for. I just pray for that mindset. And my daughter is a teacher of that of me. My daughter, like, yo, you cool or you not? You know what I mean? Like, she done broke up with black friends and she done broke up with all types of friends. You know what I mean? And it's just like, all right, I know she got a little Spanish friend, a white friend, another little black friend. Like, to her, it's just like, yo, we cool or not? So for me, it's always been intentional. Like when people ask me about being a member of the city club and being a member of the chamber and being, I intentionally went to an all-white church and all these things. And it was to instill into them, never feel less than nobody and to be comfortable in an uncomfortable environment. You know what I mean? Like, because we weren't used to being around white people. So when we get around white people, because we weren't allowed in white people's settings, right? Well, when I was younger. So I'm like, no, we're going to go to an all-white church. So you can hold your head up and you look at her. I remember one day, and I'll be honest with you, the girl said her daddy, like, and he's somebody, I don't know. She was like, yeah, my dad is this person. My daughter like, yeah, my dad is Sean Ingram. Let me tell you something. You could have thought I won $1 million. Because I was like, I know that's right. You know what I mean? Because she had her hair like, okay, who your daddy is? My daddy is this person. My mama's so-and-so. You know what I mean? And she had that pride, like, yo, like, nah, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And that's I intentionally did that, like you said, because we do get so uncomfortable in those settings and don't feel like we belong and put our head down. I said, no, my daughters will never feel that way. Any all white society or all white, no, we're going up in that joke. And we're gonna go up in that joker with our head up. We're gonna sit there and see. And that was the irony part. That was the ironic part. Remember, I told you earlier, I fought with that. Right? I fought with feeling like I didn't belong, feeling like I was worthless, feeling like I didn't have the credentials and have the background and the upbringing and the etiquette. And, you know, I had a friend that tell me, say, man, let me give you some etiquette classes, because when you walk in those type of venues, they're judging you. They're looking at you. I'm looking at my forks and my spoons and all this stuff. And, you know, guy telling me, oh, you got to lay them to the side. That way they know you. You know, these are embarrassing things. So I wanted my daughters to see these things and go through that process at a very young age so it could become natural and normal to them. Because like you said, you know, we talk about verbal communication, but that's another thing in the Sean Ingram Academy I teach too, nonverbal communication. How people looking at you, how people, you know, checking you out from the side. Do you belong here? You know, I always tell my young boys, I say, you know, we can hustle, but it's going to get to a level of intellect that you can't hustle past. You got to know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? The hustle can only get you but so far. You're gonna talk to somebody who gonna know. Then they're gonna be like, oh man, this dude don't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? So we can't hustle our way or fake it till we make it all the way through. We gotta learn. You know what I mean? So I put myself in those situations to learn. Like I said, I ain't about just you keep giving me the pie. Oh yeah, I want to know how you making the pie. I want to be in the conversations. I want to be at the golf course. I want to be on the boat when y'all talking about the connects and deals and how you figure this out. Yo, I sat in a conversation with some homeboys. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. And like we say, we talk about like minds and being in the different environments. And the dude's talking about analytics, right? And I'm like, yo, these dudes, we out here chilling, fishing, and these dudes talking about analytics. And it changed my whole company. Looking at, like, they don't focus on how much money they make. They focus on how much they spend, they overhead, where their money is being wasted at, all these things, right? And I was like, yo, hold on, man. I'm paying this, you know, these people to come bring towels because I'm want to run with the Joneses and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Yo, let me change the aspect of my company. And I looked at how much I was spending per year and then how much I was making, where I was wasting a lot of money. You know what I mean? But these are the conversations they have on a boat when they go out there in the middle of the boat.
Mr. Ingram, share with us 5 things that you believe can make a significant difference in race relations.
5 things for me. One is, number one, top priority, is truly believing in God and the Bible. If I should love my neighbor, we talk it, you know what I'm saying? But if I should truly love my neighbor, all mankind, if I believe God made everybody, if I believe, then I got to look at you as my brother. How can I, you know, appreciate and respect and love somebody I ain't seen and all? I treat the people that I see every day like slaves and like, you know what I mean? Like, that don't make sense to me. You know what I mean? When we talk about the ultimate commandment, right? Hey God, if I might fall on some of these things, but if it's anything I should do more than anything, what is it? Yeah, you should love. It's like I teach my kids respect. You know what I mean? Like, I teach them respect. Because then no matter what you do after that, if you go to somebody's house, you respect their house, then I ain't got to worry about you getting in trouble that much. I ain't got to worry about you cussing in their house. I ain't got to worry about you running in their house. I ain't got to worry about you doing all these other things. Second is communication. You know, open, honest communication, differences, understanding, white privilege, Black misunderstanding, Black, you know what I mean, oppression, like you said, systematic slavery at its best, right? Like open, true communication, you know, like that's why I said when I call it the Trump era, you saw arguing, you saw bickering, you saw back and forth, but you didn't see a conversation to say, hey, I want to understand. Why do you feel that way? You know what I'm saying? Like, even with me and my wife, you know, going through ups and downs and marriage and stuff, I'm learning how to communicate and say, you know, okay, I understand why you felt that way. Well, I don't understand why you felt that way. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Third for me is education. right? Just educating ourselves on, like I said, the similarities more than anything. Like, what are we fighting for? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, why? Because the skin color? Like, okay, what benefit did that have? You ever seen a zebra mad at a horse? You ever seen, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, a cow is a cow. We don't say black cow, white cow, brown cow. Like, no, the cow got meat. We trying to eat the cow. You know what I mean? And that's the most craziest thing about, my wife loves watching like the animal channels and stuff like that. And I always say, it's crazy. We call animals to identify being uncivilized and unthoughtful and all. It's just true story. And I'm gonna get back to it, right? Craziest thing I saw a while ago, I was cutting grass, and this German Shepherd, they got this little Chihuahua neighbor, and they got a hammock in the backyard. And I really thought I was tripping. I'll be honest with you. I thought, because at first I thought he was trying to bite the dog on the neck. And the German Shepherd was trying to pick the call up and put him in the hammock so he can get up in the hammock with him. Right? Let me tell you something. I was like, this is crazy. But it showed me how even animals are more civilized than the humans right now. And that's the craziest thing in the world. So it's just that education of, the benefits, more of the benefits that we have working together when we talked about other people having them closer and together relationship than the separate, right? God built the tower, like he created the languages to keep us not on the same accord. So it shows you how much power when people are on the same accord have. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Third thing would be empathy. You know what I mean? Just empathizing and say, man, bro, I feel you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel you. I feel you that your grandfather was just a Klansman, and that's just what you know. But like I said, that's where that communications come from. Sean, I feel you, man. I feel that you heard all them stories from your grandfather, so you never really trusted me. Just having that empathy to say, and it's sad, right? To say, yo, think about a baby who goes to a park one day, and then a little black kid come up and his mama snatch him up and say, you can't go back to the park. He don't know why. He just know, yo, I made a friend, we were playing, I'm having fun, now I can't even go back. So I empathize, I look at, and so just keeping it 100, one of the things I empathize with white people a lot, and racism and Willie Lynch letters and stuff like that, and why it don't make me as mad anymore. The greatest law is the law of survival, right? And so when I think about the ultimate of why a person created the racist and the racism and against the blacks and all this stuff, it was out of the love for his people. See, the fact of the matter is, and we just talking truth now, just talking facts and truth, black is a dominant gene. The white man has a great, great, great possibility of becoming extinct. So I have to keep my daughter from marrying a black man. I have to keep my son from marrying a black woman. Because once they have a baby, there is no more pure white lineage from that point on. It ain't. It's just not. So the law of survival for them is very, very important. So if I can scare you, if I can give you that scare tactic, if I can make you feel less than, if I can keep you in your place, in a sense, then I have a better chance of my lineage going further. You know what I mean? That's just it. So it's just that empathy. I empathize, just empathize with racist people. I look at them and say, yo, you must be scared. Like, you must be scared. That's why I said, like, for me, looking at my daughters and looking at Hall friends, like, it's real. Like, the pure white bread is becoming extinct by the masses. And then lastly, it's just, like I said, love. It's just love. Like, if we learn to love ourselves and not, they always say, when you love, you can't hate. When you truly love, you can't hate. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in fights with people that I've loved because we was mad at the moment, because we had the disagreement, because we fought. Then be like, yo, you hungry? We're gonna go eat now. I'm mad at you though. We might not talk, but we're gonna go get something to eat. What grandmama say, it's gonna hurt me more than it hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, that don't mean we got to be eye to eye and agree on everything. And, you know, but when we love, we don't want to see other people hurt. We don't want to see other people oppressed. We don't want to see people poor. We don't want to see homeless people. We don't want to see this stuff. You know, that's one of the issues that I honestly got with the church so much. I don't understand how we can open up a church every Sunday, but then we got so many homeless people. We got some of the biggest churches that the world has ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, but who we preaching to? The choir of the people. You know what I mean? Like, so you know, when you look at it from that aspect of just love, if I love my people, if I love myself, if I love my brothers and my sisters, it ain't got to be white, black, none of that. It's just people. I just love people. I want the best for people. I know what it is personally to sleep in your car when it's 28 degrees outside at night. It's cold. It's cold for a black person. It's cold for a white person. It's cold for a Mexican person. I don't care who you are. It's cold. It's lonely. It hurts. You know what I mean? So my love don't want to see people hurt like that. Now, like I said, my program ain't for black kids. My program is for troubled kids who understand, who has a mindset to say nobody else cares. So why should I care? You know what I mean? Like it's just that love. And like I said, I see me in them. And I was like, man, you know, wow, it's that love. You know, like even now as an adult, I'm learning that love, right? Love, just, you know, how to love my wife, how to love my kids, how to love, because I grew up in a unloving conditions and an environment. So what we do, we build walls. I ain't got to love nobody, I don't care. And we destroy relationships and we destroy families and we destroy it. Because without love, everything is destroyed. But when you got love, you bring together, you build, you uplift. That's just facts. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. Those are my 5.
Thank you so much. When we summarize the Bible and all those words, it's God is love.
God is love. God is love. One of my t-shirt quotes said, God lifted me up so I can uplift others. You know, God brought Sean Ingram through everything that I've been through so I could go back and uplift others. You know, God want me to love people. God want me to love, you know, my neighbor and my enemy the same. God want me to love them the way I want to be loved myself. You know what I mean? So God is love. And that's when, you know, when you look at it, that aspect, that love don't have separation. Love have togetherness. Love has, where there's a problem, there's a solution. You know what I mean? And these are daily, like we talk about habits. These are things that I try to think about all the time. When my daughter get on my nerves, when my, you know what I mean? Like, all right, I love you though. You know what I mean? Like, so the same way I have patience and understanding with her is the same way I got to have patience and understanding with somebody or stranger. You know what I mean? A total stranger who getting on my nerves and they standing behind me at the Dollar Tree line and I want to turn around and spaz out on them. Then I got to think, I say, yo, this person might have mental health issues. They might be going through some anxiety issues. They might just be ignorant.
See, God gave us children so that we would be humbled.
Definitely that. Patient too. I know that's right.
Tell us about your books and then tell us how we can get our shirts and support the Sean Ingram Academy.
Definitely. My latest book is called From Poverty to Prison and Prosperity. I mean, basically it's what I've been through, how I got through, and what I learned from it to help me get me where I am now. And that's on Sean Ingram.
Do you have a copy you can show us?
I don't. No, I sure don't right now. I'm sorry. But,
okay, go ahead.
But definitely go, if you go to .info, or you just Google Sean Ingram Books, and that's SeanIngram. If you just Google Sean Ingram Books, but definitely go to Walmart. It's available on Walmart.com. I mean, any major bookstore in the world. And then I have an upcoming book that I'm working on now called Defeating Depression, which will be available on the same platforms. And then my t-shirt line is the Sean Ingram Collection. Just like I said, quotes of God lifted me up so I can lift up the others. The devil is a liar, God is the truth, and I am the proof. I mean, just so many motivational quotes and affirmations that you could put on a day, because I believe in seeing it. I believe when you see it, it's a constant reminder. So every time I'm going through and then I walk in the bathroom, I'll be like, yeah, all right, bro, we got to keep fighting. You know what I mean? So it's just that, and that's available on my website also. Everything SeanIngram.info, and you'll see everything as far as my albums that I have coming out. Working on a spoken word album called The Testament, and that's just honestly straight my testimony. You know, dear grandma, if you see Mama, Uncle Joe, and Uncle Phil, tell them I'm still holding on, even though my life is real. The weight of the world is on my shoulders, and I don't know if I can hold up. I'm just trying to stay strong to at least Michaela and Lily grow up. It's so much on my mind that it's eclipsing my shine. So now I'm just parked in the dark and neutral with no ground to my grind. But what am I to do now? But follow me Jesus' steps and just expect to get stoned down. And I don't mind if it's God's will. I even thank God, but it hurts still. The truth don't seem to set me free. I'm just crucified every time I speak. So now I feel me dying slowly, because the gift that gives me life is now becoming my worst enemy, internally killing me slowly, daily, blindly like cancer, like no one else could see that it's on the inside that my sacrifice is in me alive, but I can't die. I'm the lifeline for my young folks, and I'm the life support for my ancestors. So I gotta survive. So it's just like I said, you know, God has blessed me with a gift, and it's my mission to inspire others now, be it stage plays. You know, I have a stage play coming up called Voices. That's just a monologue of manic depression that I go through, you know, that good devil, bad angel, you know what I mean, all in between. And so, but like I said, what I want to bring more than anything is to inspire people that's going through it, and to bring understanding people who don't understand, and a level of empathy to say, man, I ain't never thought about it like that. You know what I mean? I gotta be mindful of how I treat people. I don't know what state of mind they're in. Like some people are literally on the edge of suicide when we react to them and we brush them off and we shoo them away. And we don't know that person might go, and you know, we talk about the model that just committed suicide. You know, and one of my greatest stories I always speak about it. To me, the true example of somebody that you don't understand or you don't know what people are going through is Robin Williams, right? When you think about a person like Robin Williams, who his mission, his dream, his career, everything was to make people laugh. He was the go-lucky person. And you couldn't count the money he had. You couldn't count the jobs that he did. So he was the ultimate level of success and made it. But here's a person who was so depressed that he took his life. You just don't know. You don't know. So we have to be more mindful of just saying, this homeless person could be on the brink of suicide. I know I've been in situations mentally, and somebody say something to me who has brought me out of suicide. So it's the same aspect. They don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, they was just being them and giving me a word and had a smile. And I'm talking about old white women, old white men, young black people, kids, right? They don't know, like you don't know the power of your words to another person sometimes, of where their mind state is. So if we have that love that we was talking about, and just, hey brother, how you doing, brother? Be blessed, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey sister, hey man, I hope all is well, sister. Those words of encouragement just lifts us up and give us another hour, another day, another year sometime. You know what I mean? So to me, that's what it's all about for me. That's my only mission in life now, is to inspire people to don't give up, persevere your process, survive your struggle. You know what I mean? Because don't break down before you reach your breakthrough, right? Because I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like. I know what it is to be persecuted, and Judas is around you, and people praying for your downfall instead of your upliftment, speaking death on your life instead of life, you know, telling you your dreams and your goals is nonsense. And I mean, I know I've been there. So I'm just, like I said, I told you last time, like, I'm just learning to be the truth. I just tell my truth. But the blessing with me now is I own me too. I can say it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the Sean Ingram Incorporated. This is the Sean Ingram Collection. This is the Sean Ingram Music Group. You can't take nothing away from me no more. You can't take nothing away from, because God promised me you can't take my life. So anything else, hey man, what we talking about? I survived the streets. Like, we was ready to take each other lives. What are we talking about? Paperwork? You know what I mean? Like setbacks? Like what? Okay, what? You know what I mean? Like, you ain't even got no gun at my head. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, God done promised me that. Like,
Mr. Sean Ingram, what a blessing you are. Thank you for allowing me to sit in your presence and experience your gifts, your mission, your purpose, and the glory that is shining through you.
Thank you so much.
I thank you for all of that. And I know that it will be a blessing to others. And I encourage everyone to align with you and your program, because at some level, there's someone and something that we can do to help you get to where you want to be, and that is to be a blessing to more people.
That's the bottom line. That is, I mean, that's what the clothing collection, the books, I mean, everything that I do is just helps me help more youth to be available for them. I mean, I you know, people ask me about fundraising all the time and donations. I say, but yeah, you don't know how many donations go to kids and say, Miss Sean, can you just cash out me $25 so I can get to work? How many shoes or how many, you know, outfits that we buy just for a kid to go to a job interview? I don't think people truly understand the severity a lot about you, people, point blank, but definitely our youth. You know, so when you talk about the finances, but then, you know, church programs and school programs who don't have that funding, who don't have those grants that they could bring a speaker, right? It allows me to get in my truck and say, don't worry about that, we good, because, you know, somebody was a blessing. You know, program mothers that can't afford to buy my book for their child, don't worry about that, we good, somebody else paid it forward. I got friends that donate $20 to be like, hey man, give a book. Next time you see a kid, give a book to him. That's where that whole campaign came from. My homeboys would be like, hey man, here go $40, bro. You know, next 2 kids you see that need a book, bro, that might inspire them, you know, to keep on keeping on. Hey man, I appreciate what you're doing. So I was like, man, you know, people won't buy the book for themselves or their kids, but when you got other people who will, they stand in the gap. That's a blessing. So that's all it is. You know, so for every shirt sold, every book sold, every album sold, every donation of support, whatever it is, it just helps me to reach those unreachable people or the people less gone to. That's it. I read this this quote, and I want to say it right, and I might say it wrong, but it's in the gist of it. And I'll leave y'all with this. Every storm isn't to destroy. Sometimes it's created to clear a path, right? And I think that's what God does sometimes. You know, the storms most time bring the sunny days. It brings the clear skies. You know, it cleans, it clears. So some of these storms that we go through, that's why I said what I thought was trials and tribulations with a misunderstanding of God's lessons. What I thought to be heartache and pain was the preparation for God's blessings. I understand now, like we were saying earlier, why I went through my journey to get me where I am now. And the same goal and the visions and the dreams that I had when I didn't even understand it are fulfilled now. And I don't even know when they was fulfilled. I don't know how they got fulfilled. Definitely want nothing that I did or could have did.
Ever. Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Be blessed. And this is just the first of many.
Hey, anytime you call, you already know I'm here for you.
Thank you. Likewise. Okay, sweetie. Thank you, Mr. Ingram, for sharing these insights. Sean's testimonial journey from poverty to prison to prosperity has encouraged many to overcome their obstacles and survive their struggle in order to secure secure success. Visit, buy a shirt, books, and turn lives around. Mr. Ingram has offered insights suggesting that to bring light to healing and race relations, we need to be loving and respectful. He also inspired our thinking with how the youth he knows connect with each other across racial and ethnic identity. Is this the hope for tomorrow? This is Addie Banks. Learn more about Let's Talk Race Now at letstalkracenow.com and subscribe to Let's Talk Race Now YouTube channel.